We're so happy today.
Yeah. It's
uh,
a terrible day out there.
Terrible day. We just went on like an off-screen rant about the acolyte. It's not continuing as of right now, but we would like it to. So continue. Hashtag renew the acolyte. Let's try to save this thing, please.
Imagine if they just remove it from Disney Plus like they removed Willow.
I'll fucking jump.
Imagine.
I'll jump, Evan.
Imagine. Yeah, like Nathan said, we talked about it off stream in terms of like how bleak it is. I want to talk about it in detail for like, the audience as well, on a separate like Hyperspace Hype podcast, because I want to keep that channel going, or
The show.
what do we call it? The show. Yeah, I want to keep the show going because it's like, yeah, we've done like what 200 some 130 whatever we were for that show, 120 episodes going, and I had so much fun this summer. Like this made my summer, just going over the Acolyte, watching every episode more than once, taking copious notes, discussing its theme, its characters, its potential, its future. But then to get it like canceled and cut and gutted, it's awful. It's awful. Like, yeah, it's beyond depressing. It's heartbreaking. It's sad. And I said this about Willow. It's just like I can't fathom a future where I can't see these characters again. And it sucked with Willow. I still really hope for like a Willow continuation on like books or comics or something. And in that regard, it's like the only thing in Star Wars that's actively giving me happiness outside of Lucasfilm Animation, like Bad Batch was great. Thank you to like Jennifer and the other people in charge of making the Bad Batch so great. But like that gave me so much happiness this year. Acolyte gave me so much happiness this year, but then canceling it. It's catering to the wrong people. It's catering to just businesses in general in terms of like, oh, I didn't get the right viewership numbers. Well, okay. It's so bleak for TV. It's not only bleak for Star Wars, which in my mind it is, but it's bleak for TV in terms of like, oh, and people have been saying this for years now, but this whole streaming business, it's not new, but it's just with more and more cancellations, especially in the Star Wars realm. When it came to Willow, I was like, okay, it's not in like the core brand. And what did Iger say? It's like, oh, we're going to focus on things that work. Star Wars, Marvel. It's like, okay. But then even that started to shift. They're not continuing a lot of the Marvel shows that they started in 2019 or 2020 or whatever. And now they're not continuing a lot of the Star Wars shows. But hey, at least we'll get Ahsoka season 2. And if you know my thoughts on Ahsoka, it's like not that great. And then we're going to get Mando and Grogu in movies. Like, in the movie sphere, which is what Star Wars came to me for, like the movies, of course, obviously, nothing to look forward to in the near future. TV shows, Andor, very much excited for. I'll watch that for sure. But then after 2025, what the absolute fuck do you have me watching the Star Wars for? It's crazy. But we are here. So again, I want to talk about that more in detail at a later time eventually. Maybe after I would get back in the right headspace. But we are here to talk about Alien Romulus. The latest Alien film has come out this past weekend. So we will be diving into spoilers for Alien Romulus, its connections to the franchise, what we thought of the film overall. So full spoilers. And then at the end of the podcast, we'll talk about future commentaries. Do you have the wheel set up, or
what? I do. I mean, we could kick off with that if
we can do that. Sure. Yes. Let's kick off with it. Let's put some.
I have a divide for 2 spins.
Okay.
We'll do a spin for a franchise watch. We'll do a spin for a standalone.
Perfect. Sounds Gucci to me.
And I think just in like retrospect, we should just do Acolyte commentaries for the fuck of it.
Oh, 1,000. That's a good point, man. I didn't even think about that. I would love to do that. It'll be so depressing now, but I would love to. I think it's depressing, but it will fill me with a lot of joy because I love that show.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
You see this wheel here?
I sure do. 1 through 6. Yes.
Okay, this is that was just like a test. I'm gonna grab the
Okay. I was like,
the
do you have the numbers?
frames.
I was like, do you have the numbers attached to the franchises or something?
I got them here. I'll paste them in. I'm gonna
Perfect.
shuffle it a couple times. Do you want me to read off the franchises before I hit spin?
No, I think some of the audience, if you want to pause it, you can look at it. We have some Hunger Games, Conjuring, which we kind of started, I think. No, we never done a Conjuring movie in here, have we?
No, we haven't
Wow,
done
that's
it yet.
crazy. That's awesome. Okay, yeah. Maze
There
Runner,
was
Harry Potter.
there were some things in the list that we did touch upon already that I had to remove. So we were
Okay.
whittling it down.
Cool.
So that's good.
watch this. Give me the MCU. It's like, fuck you, Evan.
Hey, that's
the
not
dick of your
bad.
corporate
It's not
overlord.
bad at all. It's not bad. It's fine. It's phase 1. It's a little pre Disney.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even notice the phase 1 part. So yeah, that
I am sparing you a bit by breaking it up.
I didn't even notice the phase 1. So yeah, it does give me good joy. That's good.
This is exciting though, because we never done this.
We've never done this. Hopefully the wheel doesn't spin off and cut our heads off.
Right, well, too late. But
whoops.
Here we go. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, this is exciting. MCU phase 1. Harry Potter. Oh, Maze Runner.
Oh,
wow, what a spoiler.
Oh,
that's a great surprise.
Shit. Okay,
I love that. Especially coming off the heels of this year's Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, directed by Wes Ball, which I really love. Kingdom is still in my top 10 of the year. I really love that movie. And to see the franchise that Wes Ball adapted to the big screen and did so with great, at least great praise from me. I love this movie from 2014. So yeah, we can start this franchise. It's easy. 3 movies. This should be fun.
Yeah, look at that. Look at that digestible bite size. All right, well.
Let me put that on the list so I can remember that too as well, so we don't forget and then have to go back to this podcast.
Yeah. Oh, shit, I hit spin again. My bad. Ignore this one. This isn't the next one we're doing necessarily. It's Maze Runner again. That's funny.
That's wild.
No, no, it's not. It's
That's crazy. I was like, what are the odds on that?
Right. No, let me update the list here. This one is our standalones. Just gonna shuffle it around a few times and we're gonna spin right now.
Standalone. This is exciting. We have some good Power Rangers, Chronicle, Master and Commander. The Accountant. Crazy. Awesome.
That's such a random pick I never would have expected.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I haven't seen The Accountant, so that's fun.
You haven't? I just rewatched it a couple months back too. This is exciting. And this is crazy.
And like a few years ago, I think I watched the first Maze Runner once, and I haven't seen the sequels.
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't seen the first Maze Runner in a minute. I have the Blu-ray of the first 2 movies, I think, or at least the first one. I forget if I have the second one. But yeah, The Accountant 2 is scheduled to premiere finally next April, so we'll have some kind of relevance as well, which is exciting. I've been looking forward to The Accountant ever since it came out in 2016. I saw it on a Saturday, and it was just like, oh, cool, we'll see this Ben Affleck thriller. And it blew my mind. It was so creative and so well done. So, and I just, again, my friend had never seen it, so we watched it with her over the summer, and we're like, oh, this is a great movie. So I can't wait to see it finally in full again. This would be great. Maze Runner, The Accountant, fun movies. What a time. Oh. Good stuff here. So yeah, that got my heart pumping, racing. You know what else got my heart pumping and racing?
Kaylee Spaney.
Kaylee Spaney, who is very, very beautiful, yes. But also, she's beautifully amazing in Alien Romulus. I don't know what I went there. I don't know. I'm trying my best here, guys. My headpiece is all fucked up. But yeah, I really loved this movie. I kind of like. I've been saying this a lot for movies this year. I really want to see it again, but unfortunately, not the summertime, so I don't have time to see it again. And there's other movies I want to see. I still haven't seen Sing Sing. It came out in wide release finally this past weekend. I want to see that. My dad's looking forward to seeing Blink twice this weekend, so I'm like,
Oh yeah.
I got to schedule when I can go see Sing Sing. I might have to do that Friday or tomorrow.
I
But
remember Sing
anyways,
Sing turned out to be one of the screen unseens in one of the weeks.
what?
Sing Sing was one of the screen unseens at AMC. One of
Really?
the weeks.
Since
Yeah.
when?
Just a couple ago.
A couple weeks ago, months ago.
Yeah.
Damn, I would have loved to see that. I need to start doing that more. This silent scene movie stuff. I've only done that for again Cinemark. But yeah,
There's one coming up. Another R-rated one coming up.
R-rated one. Okay, I gotta figure this stuff out because I get notifications because I'm attached to the Cinemark email, but I don't get ones for like AMC because I don't really go to AMC that much. But yeah, that'd be good. But yeah, Alien Romulus was a movie I really liked. Liked a lot. Fede Alvarez coming back from I don't know what his last movie was, but you know,
I mean, was it Don't Blink or Don't Breathe?
Was it Don't Breathe? Maybe Don't Breathe was like 2016 though. Has he been out of the game for that long?
Maybe not. I'll cross reference.
Yeah, look him up on IMDb or Letterboxd. But I'll just continue talking. Fede Alvarez as a director really shined out for me, like put himself in the spotlight for me personally with Don't Breathe. That's when I kind of became like, okay, Don't Breathe is excellent. An excellent, captivating, basically one location thrill ride.
Let's see. He did The Girl in the Spider's Web in 2018.
I did not see that one.
And he also did a movie called Calls in 2021.
Calls. Never seen Calls. Man, he's been out of it for it. That's weird. But I guess this movie started production in 2022 anyways.
Yeah, I remember the start date. That was a cool image.
But yeah, so Fede, but he created, we did our, speaking of commentaries, we did our Evil Dead commentaries. And throughout the movie,
we have to watch Rises.
We have to watch Rises. That's a good point. And we, going through that franchise, it was interesting seeing the evolution of that franchise and what set each movie apart from the others. Going from the first one, which was a gnarly, low budget horror movie with some comedy, to really level up the comedy in terms of like, oh, this is a crazy horror comedy in a way, like craziness, how zany it kind of was with the supernatural aspects, way more so than the first one. It felt like an evolution of the first one. Yeah. So much, a very similar plot. Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2. The Evil Dead 3 takes it completely differently. Outside of the cabin, it's more of an adventure horror, not even a horror. It's like an adventure / comedy realm with it's like a supernatural adventurous comedy. It's not really scary or horrifying at all, the third one, but that's what makes it so special. And getting into Evil Dead 2013, which is again directed by Fede Alvarez, which is now my personal favorite, especially reconsidering the movies. I think I said I like the first one more than the second one, but maybe I kind of changed that now. I kind of like the second one more than the first one. But then the third one is very different. It's very fun, but I think I still prefer 2 to 3. But Evil Dead 2013, and I'm going to make this point in comparison to what I've been hearing about Romulus. Evil Dead 2013 takes a lot of cues from the first 2 movies of Evil Dead. I guess you can say it's taking it back to its roots, per se. Evil Dead, in terms of, hey, they're back at the cabin. We have a new cast of young kids at a cabin. They get taken, or they get, unknowingly unleash this hell across the cabin of their friends. And I'm blinking on the lead actress from 2013. But she becomes the recipient of like, the evil demon. And I love that movie. Is it very similar to the first one? Yes. But what makes it different is the performances in that movie. And I will get her name. Thank you, Jane Levy. And Jane Levy's performance was excellent. The cast was really fun. Filled with a lot of idiotic characters, but filled with interesting horror set pieces. The way Fede lit up the darkness of that basement was really cool. And then the third act of Evil Dead 2013 is one of the most incredible things I've ever witnessed. I don't want to spoil it for people who have not seen that movie yet. And I would say the same thing about Romulus. Is it very similar to Alien? Yes. They're in one location. They're running away from an alien. But that's such a broad comparison. Because I think the character work in Alien Romulus is really good. The thematic work between the brother Andy and the brother-sister relationship, the sibling relationship between Andy and Rain is what makes this movie really special and have a lot of heart that the other Alien movies just do not have for me. And then the scares, the horror, the thrills of it all was really interesting, really gruesome, really awesome. And then the third act was just sensational in terms of like, oh my gosh, we were actually really doing this, which had me, my brother, the overall audience really on the edge of our seat here. I'm making the movie overall. This from Draven. I love that they captured the look from the first movie with all the tech and whatnot. My biggest problem though is that the callbacks really made me groan. Interesting. I didn't really. I'm not one to. I am one to groan at nostalgic callbacks, especially in regards to like Star Wars. Didn't really mind it here. Again, this is full spoiler. So we do see the return of what's his name? Ash,
but not Ash.
Ash, but not Ash, right?
Ian Holm.
It's Ian Holm. Ash in the first movie, but this is a different cyborg or synthetic played by Ian Holm, who again has died, but they brought him back using AI restorative technology. Stuff you see in like Rogue One, for example, with Tarkin. And thank God I haven't seen a lot of like negative AI. I mean, I guess I have a lot, but it's what I'm trying to say is like I've seen a lot of negative complaints about them bringing him back, but not so much that the movie's using AI. Because I think we've seen this done before and it's fine. It's just that people like Draven didn't like the nostalgia of it all, which for me I didn't really care for. It didn't bother me that much that it seems to have bothered a lot of people. What about you, Nathan?
Well, I mean, just off the bat, just like impression while watching the movie. I was sitting next to a pretty like big Alien fan, which was really cool. Because I went to the Dolby fan event, and like we're looking and it's like that does look like the outline of Ash, which is interesting. And like the first establishing shot is like he's in shadow, and it's like the outline. And I was like, that's a cool effect of doing it without doing it.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do that the whole time.
I was like, cool, quick scene, but he actually becomes like a major player in the film
for sure.
By the second act, and when the spotlight, I was like, oh shit, it's him. Like that is him. And I'm like looking and trying to think like, how is this happening? Because I know Ian Holm passed away 2020, so been a bit of time.
I think I had the same recollection. I think same comparison. I think to watching Civil War. I think it's a good example where Civil War it looks off, but it purposely looks off. Barf. But in this one, it also looks. I mean, it was called Barf.
In Civil War, you mean like when they de-age?
The aging tech, like they like not. It's different technology, different circumstances, but it looked off. In this one, it also looks off a little bit.
You can feel like it's not 100% natural, but I think it works for me. Like it clicked just fine for me because I'm seeing like, oh, this is an android who is clearly damaged and is glitched out. So any jitteriness that's going to be conveyed in this performance just works with what I'm supposed to be seeing on screen.
I agree. I think it worked for the movie itself. I understand the complaint. Like, was this necessary? I don't know. Probably not. But like, it didn't really bother me. It didn't really mess me up. Now, the other instances of nostalgia, I mean, I'm an Alien fan. I've rewatched the Alien films. I've seen a lot of them from the first time in terms of Alien 3 and Alien 4. Those are the only ones I had not seen. And the Predator sequels as well. But there was also a lot of nostalgia that I just apparently didn't miss. Apparently, they were saying lines verbatim, which I didn't really pick up on.
I picked up just the one obvious.
Which one? The scientist one?
No, the get away from her, you bitch. But that was funny with the delivery of it. It's from Aliens.
That's when it's attacking Newt, right? That one.
Yeah, fighting the Queen Xenomorph, which is interesting because that's not Ridley's. So I was like, hey, cool.
Yeah. But yeah. I guess the nostalgia didn't wash over me because I don't have a huge connection to the franchise, and I was like,
you know what?
Cool.
You know, what? I did hear Ash say another line he said in the original. It was like, I can't lie about your chances, but you have my sympathies, which I think is just like a pre-program type beat for this android.
Fair enough.
But that's the only ones I like really caught. Otherwise, I feel like everything was expanded really well. I think I only have like one like true negative. I guess you could call it a negative with the film is just with they're able to put a lot into this movie of different things to explore.
Yes.
And I love that, but I think it did sometimes hinder some instances going by too fast. Like you remember, I was like if this thing in the trailer is her floating towards acid, that's an amazing idea, and it's going to be my favorite movie ever if it does that. And they did it. However, it was over very fast, and I was like, oh all right.
Yeah.
I want her to traverse more. Maybe like there's a impasse you can't avoid, so she's got to like take off a jacket and swipe it away or something. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. I didn't expect it to go on much longer than what we got. I think overall the lead up to it was really cool. The build up to it was really cool. And then even after it, we jumped from that sequence to that awesome elevator sequence. I was like, oh, I love a good elevator sequence in horror movies. I thought the elevator one was really awesome. The way she fell and the alien caught her, like, oh my God, that was incredible.
I don't know if you remember what I said in the spoiler chat, but I had like a funny thought with that when it came on. So like there's a introduction. I feel like we're all over the place and talking about the film, but there's an introduction of the extraction of the black goo from the face huggers, which is a direct connection to Prometheus and Covenant, which I love. That's great.
Yeah, I don't even love those movies, but I love the callback, and I love the like they do the whole
themes.
that was beautiful.
I guess they played Hall of Mountain King. Was one something David was listening to one of them. I just rewatched Prometheus last night, and I'm about to watch Covenant again. I love these movies. So yeah,
off Naomi Rapace for no reason.
It's not great, Bob. There's a lot of like important scenes cut out of Covenant.
Doing?
I have said before, if I could get like HD assets of everything, I would make a supercut of Covenant. That would work. But
sorry, continue.
So they show like these experiments of like what the black goo does, and then Isabella Merced's character takes one, and
fuck.
It was so funny, Gavin, because I'm like, oh man, I really like her in this movie, and I don't want her to die.
Great. Yeah,
she's great. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I remember her at a door, behind her. But like she escapes the first time, and I was like, okay, cool. And then it goes like full Alien Isolation level when she's like,
dude, same. I was losing my shit. I was like, this Nathan and I have experienced this. This is Alien Isolation.
I'm like, don't fucking move. Throw something.
Yeah, I was like, get me out of here. Oh my God, yeah.
And it really is like that creepy feeling of like when the xenomorph like leaves the room, but it's an open space that could walk back in at any moment. Mm-hmm. Oh shit! But then like she gets caught at the second door, and I'm like, oh fuck, she's gone. There she goes. But then she's alive later, and I'm like, great. Surely nothing bad will happen to her now.
That was big. I think if you want to do a callback, I think the first Alien movie, the deleted scene when she, the alarms are blaring in the third act. She goes trying to escape, and then she comes across the nest that it has made.
Yeah, like the cocoons of it all.
Which is very quick. I wonder, this, it's science fiction. I don't give a fuck. But it's like the alien is so quick to like create all this huge nesting areas. How did that happen so quickly?
I'm not sure. Granted, it's always off screen, but it does it does click more with like what we see in Aliens, which is just like putting them up for the face huggers to latch onto. Whereas in the original Alien, it was in that deleted scene, they were turning into the face hugger eggs in that process.
Wait, see, I think they were turning into face hugger eggs?
Yeah, in the deleted scene, like when they're pinned up to the wall, like it's
Uh-huh.
slowly like transforming them into a new egg as a
Oh
part of like a full
wow!
life cycle. This is all before aliens and like the
So they changed the lore,
queen
yeah.
of the yeah. Well, it was deleted anyway, so
Deleted, yeah.
but yeah, with that said, back to my original plot, which took the goo, and you see like the experiments that failed in the lab. I was like, oh fuck, what is she gonna turn into? And so,
I thought she was going to turn into like a monster, like a hybrid or something,
I
which is what we
I
get, but it's from her
yeah,
baby.
and it was for that reason when like that xenomorph randomly catches her with the tail and is very fucking slow and patient with her while shit's going down. I'm like, is that
Oh,
her?
is that
Did she
her?
turn into one? This would be so fucked up. But also, she
Yeah.
could communicate with the others to slow them down.
I wish I went to this not knowing because I didn't see it on Thursday. I had to wait till Friday and then Saturday to finally see it.
Uh,
So I heard like the third act is crazy. I didn't hear what happens, obviously. I just had a third act goes crazy. The part where the alien caught her had me worried that they were going to get a Jurassic World moment where all of a sudden good Xenos are going to fight all the other Xenos. Oh yeah, kind of like what Nathan said. It's like you kind of
yeah.
like,
Well, but to
are we
that point,
getting any weird?
I didn't think it was like a natural xenomorph that's like helping out. I thought it was like our previous crewmate had transformed into one and has now become a very monster.
Yeah. Puts his hand
Um,
on the door, says, "You go, you save yourself." Nah,
all
that'd be
six
creepy.
fingers.
Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, that scene was wild, 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 wild. But yeah, but then also comparing it to like Prometheus and Covenant, because on rewatch, and I looked at my ranking. I was like, how did I feel about those movies? Because of course those movies have been having a resurgence in discussion over the weekend.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, I just never could connect with those movies. Like, because for me, I love Aliens because of the characters.
Mhm.
Like, the characters of Alien, or sorry, the alien itself, yeah. Like Ash, Ripley, everybody involved in the first one. In the second one, you bring in, what's it called? My guy from Twisters. I'm blanking right now.
Glen Powell.
Fucking Glenn Powell. Game over, man.
Oh, Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton, thank you. And other like notable, fun characters built by great performances.
Mhm.
And that's what makes these movies so much fun for me, like tracking their struggles and craziness throughout all the chaos. For Prometheus and Covenant, I can't tell you the name of any freaking character of those movies besides David. And David is a fantastic character. He's a great synthetic character, brings a lot of philosophical um, meaning to those movies. But it's like the plot around those movies just I just can't get behind a lot of the time.
I was wondering if I was gonna feel that going back into Prometheus, even though I remember always enjoying it. But like on rewatch, it really is just like a core think piece of the idea of creation and like
Yeah,
understanding where one comes from and like why I am stuff like that.
exactly. Like, where do we come from? What is God? Basically, like, what is God's plan here?
Well,
Like,
yeah,
is there a
that's
God?
that
Basically,
that gets to
yeah,
be the interesting point of the story, being like, oh, they like the discovery doesn't just become why did they make us? The new discovery becomes, oh, they created us and then they wanted to wipe us out. Why?
why? Hmm. Um, do we figure out why in those movies?
No, and that's
I still don't get that. Like, okay, yes, David is telling me they wanted to wipe us out with the black goo or something like that. I don't know.
well, yeah, the ship was essentially carrying like a payload to wipe out our
Earth?
world, which he in turn does to them in Covenant.
Yeah.
Um,
Like, so I get the messaging of those movies, just like the comprehension of like, because every time I rewatch them, I'm trying to understand like what the hell is happening here. Like each viewing, it gives me a new perspective of like, okay, but why are they doing that again? It's an interesting question. I like that Ridley's digging into it, but I don't get the full brunt of the answer. Maybe that's the beauty of it too, but I don't know.
that may be the intent. I'm even watching like the breakdown of the story development right now for BTS stuff, and it's very intriguing because
Oh,
their initial thought is like tell the story of like how we get to the
that'll be
space jockey crashing, and then he starts devoting more just like, well, what if it's not about the Xenomorph? What if it's about the fucking the whole idea of
engineers.
creation itself and how we get here, which I love the overarching thing of both movies.
But then he goes back and just makes it. Then in Covenant, it's more so just alien again. They go to a planet and they got to leave.
A little bit, yeah. It does pivot back to Covenant. I think that was like a studio thing because originally it was supposed to be Prometheus, Paradise Lost, and then they pivoted to Alien Covenant for more clear recognition, probably for a better box office result, which didn't really happen.
Yeah.
But isn't that amazing, Evan? Isn't that amazing?
Isn't that great?
Even to this day, we're still addressing Prometheus stuff, but Star Wars won't do it.
Star Wars won't do it, and it's funny how like the studio wanted them to go back to like the core of the alien stuff, and it made for like a subpar product in Alien Covenant, in my opinion. But then it's like the studios never really learned their lessons. Like, oh, we got to cater to this. We got to cater to like what they want. And it's like, not really. Just do what Ridley wants, and audiences may or may not come. Prometheus made 51 million, like 20 million more than Covenant. You don't know what would have happened if you just stuck with Ridley's guns. It could have made more, it could have made less than Covenant. You never really know. But yeah, I like those ideas, and bringing it back in Alien Romulus was a very fascinating way to like connect it as well. But this time, center it instead of around, existential topics of godhood and creation. Creation is brought back again in terms of like creating a better humanity to live in this cursed world, basically. And again, less so on all the existence stuff and more so on like how corporations can manipulate life. Just like a great theme of this movie is how corporations are manipulating and puppeteering the livelihoods of the people within their systems, and as well as trying to create a better human through despicable means with the whole Romulus idea here. I thought it was really cool the way the movie just talks about how corporations, and that has been the case for a lot of these alien movies. Spoiler alert, Weyland-Yutani is a corrupt, awful, stupid organization. We all know this. But what Fede brings to the party here in Alien Romulus was a great meld between the two and bringing in his own personal backstory with it as well, in terms of like making the Jackson 5 colony, whatever it was called. I think Jackson 5. Making the Jackson Star colony. Was interesting in terms of like, coming from like a third world country perspective, and then just like not getting the best rights and best rights as a human and best living conditions, wanting to escape that and wanting to have a better dream. And I love the dream sequences at the beginning here. Like, it was very intentional, very powerful as well.
I really like that stuff. I love the core brother sister dynamic with our two leads.
Oh yeah, I think David Johnson, I think is his name. David Johnson, Kelly Spaney, you had an incredible dynamic. Like I was ready to like them based on like the press interviews and like getting to understand like, okay, this is interesting. They have like a sibling thing going on. Even in the trailers, like you can tell she has so much care for him. And usually synthetics always have like that back and forth. You can never really trust it, especially with David being the main antagonist of two movies, Prometheus and Covenant. And then in the first movie, the synthetic betrays the cast, and then in the second movie, the synthetic is good, but then we don't know if we can trust them or not. But then they turn out to be good.
Bishop's such a fan favorite.
Yeah, he's a great character. And then
that's
of course,
right. The one here is named Rook, which is kind
Rook.
of
That's what it was called. Okay.
A like match to Bishop. Chess terms.
Oh wow! I didn't even think about that. Bishop and Rook. That's really cool. That's really cool. I like that a lot. So that was really cool. I just like how, man, this movie, for all like its simplistic complaints I see people giving it, it's really powerful when it comes into like the synthetic. Like, of course, the Weyland-Yutani Corporation is actively trying to control humanity. At the beginning of this movie, Kaylee Spaney is like actively searching for something new. She has served, I think, 6 years under this corporation.
It was measured in hours. It was like 12,000 hours.
Got it.
And it was like, okay, so I met my quota, and then they basically end up doubling it
just doubling it, very
And I
solo-esque, right?
and I was doing some fucking quick math, like after I'd seen it, and I was like, how fucking long is that? Like, if you were to like work nonstop day and night, it's 10 years, Evan.
Oh
So
my
if you
God.
go like a natural like 8 hours, it's 30 years.
That's insane. That's
And
insane.
I'm sure they would just tack on more.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to just tap on more. They don't really care. So she's living in this place that she really actively wants to get out of. Her parents died in the mine due to the illnesses that, of course, are from mines and all the horrible living conditions there. I also like the beginning. We see a dream sequence. She's actively dreaming of, I think the planet is called Yavaga or just Yavaga in general, I'll just say.
Yeah.
And I like the lush landscape, the natural sunlight that she is actively yearning for.
Because it seems like she hasn't really seen sunlight.
No, which is so fascinating. The world itself is surrounded by darkness and shadows and storms that cloud out the sun. It's not until she breaks past the atmosphere where she can finally see natural sunlight. Even in this movie, she wakes up and she sees like light, but it's not natural. It's artificial light.
Oh, there's zero daylight on the planet they address in there.
I love that whole kind of like, usually you would see like a number like it spirals into any kind of number, but zero, and it's just like, it just leaves you in like this haunting atmosphere straight from the jump of these characters being trapped in darkness.
Yeah, and it's a very scummy place too. It's not a very safe location, it looks like.
Exactly.
And I will say, in terms of location and space, I think this is probably like some of the best like space zero gravity I've ever seen in anything. This is so well done, especially just the tool of zero gravity being like a constant. The gravity resets that happen annually on the ship, like creating suspenseful scenarios that way, is fantastic. And yeah, to more of like the crew, even like, so I ended up seeing it again. And I didn't catch this the first time, but I remember like watching the first time and I was like, God, this fucking one guy is such a fucking asshole. I cannot wait for him to get his comeuppance.
Which one? Oh, the jerk cousin of
the cousin,
Tyler.
Yeah. And then a line I completely missed that I caught on my second rewatch is like, the reason he's such a dick to our android bud is because an android is responsible for the death of his mother because it made like a needs of the many type call.
This was peak. If you guys have seen iRobot, have you seen iRobot with Will Smith? It's like, save the girl, where the robot,
you're in danger.
iRobot is peak. But yeah, an iRobot, spoiler alert, the robot saves Will, doesn't save the drowning little girl that was also in the car crash, because it made more sense logically to save Will Smith because he was easier to save. He was had more chance of living. And in this one, it's just like where the logic overcomes like the reason. And the synthetic saves the few, or was it saves the many? Does not end up saving the guy's parents,
which ends up being when he gets the upgrade, he ends up making the same call again against this guy's girlfriend who gets infected.
Isabella Massad's character?
No,
yes. What were they called?
Is her name?
Navarro.
Navarro.
I have a cast list right here. I think it was Navarro. Yeah, it is Navarro. Which was a great sequence where he starts running after her, to try and like stop her. But yeah, it was full intense, full crazy. And yeah, I like that idea of it as well, where we have this corporation obviously belittling the humans, but the way it seeps into the synthetics and how that seeps into the sibling relationship, it all becomes so, all the themes become so well intertwined, where Andy is such a compassionate character from the jump, played brilliantly by David Johnson here. I love its compassion, its vulnerability as an android is something we haven't seen a lot of the time. We've seen obviously humans have like the superiority complex towards synthetics. We've seen that a lot throughout the movies. They don't pay it any mind, or it's like, hey, do the job, do this, do that, do this, do that. And seeing Andy so vulnerable compared to like the likes of David in the first movie, or David, of course, in the prequels, or like in the first movie, Ash, right? Where Ash was kind of like a core member of the team. People liked him at least to a degree. And seeing Andy be so vulnerable and get beat up on in the beginning here, and just have such a compassionate connection to his prime directive, which is to make sure that Rain is safe. And then for the Weyland-Yutani Corporation to override that, just like they're overriding the lives of everybody on this ship, is just so fascinating. Because it really just like the corporate greed is overtaking the siblings.
Best interest of the company.
Oh my God. And like, it's such a haunting, again, that's what makes the Alien franchise so great. Like, yes, the Alien is the true peak horrific monster, the perfect monster. But then also, of course, corporations, just as bad. The people behind it, just as bad. And they're faceless, too. We'll never see this corporation. It's just Weyland-Yutani in general. The corporation as a name is just so evil. Just as evil as Alien.
The initial opening was very cool. Grabbing a piece of the Nostromo destruction.
Yeah, I did not see that happening or coming. I was like, oh, we're really doing this. When we got into the trailers, I was like, oh, are they? Because there was a lot of facehuggers. I'm like, are they? Is this one of the popular theories? Like they were artificially creating facehuggers. I thought that was going to happen, but instead we kind of got like them going straight for the jugular, going for the OG Alien, which was wild.
Yeah, it is. It is the first ever on-screen xenomorph. Is been encapsulated in the wreckage and ended up surviving. They even confirmed didn't need oxygen, didn't need food for however many fucking days. And then it ran rampage on the ship until you saw it was clearly was blown out to smithereens, melting through the floors. Its face was gone, just hanging there.
Let's talk about this. Because you've seen it twice now, right?
Yeah.
Lucky son of a bitch. What day did you go?
Thursday.
Twice on Thursday?
Yeah, I did it back to back.
Wow.
Which I was sitting in my second. I was like, "Fuck, is this a good idea?"
But then you realized
not that I don't know if it was a mix of tired or if I was like, this shit's heavy. But yeah, I'm glad I did it. I still
it's a lean 2 hours, which makes it endlessly rewatchable. I can't wait to have the 4K. But yeah, so it helped me explain the timeline of events here. So they go to Romulus technicians, find the alien. They bring the alien to the Romulus space station. They experiment on it. And it goes rampage. It goes on a rampage.
It's a little vague, because we're moving the plot along.
Yeah.
But from my understanding, yeah, they were clearly taking a look at it. Clearly, they could not be contained. It was getting away, and they had to. It clearly wiped out the whole crew.
Is that? Because I'm trying to picture how do they get so many face huggers? Is that from the crew itself?
I'm not too sure because they're vacuum sealed in the fucking room.
Yeah, I'm like somebody had to put that, or was that Rook who did that? I don't know.
I'm not too certain on the timeline with that and how that went about. I don't know if they I don't think they discovered anything because I was even dipping my toe back into watching the beginning of Aliens. They don't. I don't. Well, no, because they were running fucking experiments in Aliens on facehuggers and stuff, so they had access to them at a point. Clearly, they found them on LV-426, which is where they established a new colony by aliens. This is in between both films. This is about 20 years after Alien, and Aliens is about 50-ish years after the first film.
Yeah, in Aliens, their colony is on the same planet that they found the alien on, right? Or space colony, space jockey.
It is, yeah.
Okay. And all those aliens, all those spawned from the alien queen in Aliens.
Yeah, I guess one was born
Yeah,
out
during
of
that time.
out of one of them, and then it was like laying more eggs. So there's that. But here, granted, when we get to the space station itself, the whole thing is like wrecked and drifting, and it drifted into this orbit.
So it must have been a while. I can't tell how long it's been, but
Roughly a while. You assume it's from the opening when they got the initial xenomorph, but yeah, I don't, and there must have been some fuckery cover up because even aliens, when Ripley's recounting what happened, they're like, it seems a little fishy. We can only barely corroborate your.
And I figured, like, okay, this is a ship that's drifting towards the asteroid field. In 48 hours, it will completely perish.
Yeah,
so
it's going to like engulf into the rings.
The ring, yeah, not atmosphere, but the rings itself, yeah, the asteroid rings. So if the Kaylee Spaney's crew never did anything at all, the crew would, or the Romulus disaster would kind of clean up itself.
Correct. Yeah.
20 years after Alien, 30 before Alien. Okay. Thanks, Draven. So yeah. So like the disaster would kind of clean up itself. So thinking that, I thought that they messed up, but they probably the scientists like dipped, and they were like, okay, this thing's just gonna clean up itself. Our fuck up is not going to be broadcast basically because everything's going to be destroyed anyways. But I don't think that was the case anymore, because obviously when we get to the ship and we have Rook explaining the ordeal and how the alien went AWOL and survived its experimentation or whatever, we learned that like our mission was not complete, hence the black goo. They wanted the black goo to go back to the colony of the Jackson Star.
Yeah, just back into the hands of the company.
Wayland, exactly. So that didn't happen yet. So their plan just got fucked up in general. I think the simple case was that like they tried it, alien killed everybody. But again, I'm just like, I get the black goo, but where did all those facehuggers come from?
Yeah, because there's not one egg in this movie.
Yeah.
Which a little bummed. That's fine.
But we see a lot of dead bodies. You can easily
there's a lot of dead bodies cocooned up.
The alien just
and there's a lot of xenomorphs on board, more than we thought initially, by a point. And that's not just from her crew. That's from like the ones that were pinned up and were attacked by other facehuggers.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we can only assume like the facehuggers took over everybody on board Romulus and turned them into aliens, basically.
It's really interesting, like thinking about the timeline of this series, because again, I just turned on Prometheus. It's only 30 years before Alien. I thought it was 30 longer. Only 30.
Oh,
before the first one.
Wow, I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, the alien timeline always is so fascinating, but so bewildering to me in terms of like, because just thinking about Prometheus and Covenant, I'm like, okay, David did this. Did he create the first xenomorph? Did he not create the first xenomorph?
Yes, he created the first modernized version that we know.
It wasn't called the xenomorph; it was called something else.
Well, there was like protomorphs and stuff, but like the actual like first one, he did make it. It's interesting because you watch Prometheus and there's like a mural that has a xenomorph like creature on it that you can.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Which you can kind of like, maybe it's like a warning of the very like goo substance you have. Like you could go down this fucking dark route if you're not careful of how you use it and shit. There's because it's not clear cut and dry. I was even googling last night, like, what the fuck does the mural mean? And like it's interpreted.
People don't know. I don't know really.
They don't explicitly tell you, which I kind of like. I like the interpretations.
Fair enough.
Even though I'm also the same guy who's like, yeah, crash the fucking ship on the right planet to the alien one.
Yeah, obviously. But even the whole planet thing is like, where did the engineer come from? Did David interact with one in the possible sequel to Covenant? Did he interact with a space jockey who was drifting somewhere and then just... Anyways.
Well, he stole a ship. He stole another ship. The whole planet they were on was a kind of like an experimenting planet to like build their own arsenal, as it were, away from their home planet.
Yes. But yeah, so in Alien Romulus, what I really appreciated was going back to like, the Andy of it all. 'Cause I think it was like the heart of the movie. I
Yes.
love that switch up. That switch up when he puts in the other directive and Wayland takes over. The interests of the company take over, and I like seeing that progressive change because it was so heartbreaking when one of the idiot Bjorn, whatever his name was, the cousin. I just call him cousin. I finally finished the Bear season 3, by the way, guys. Finally finished it.
Ah,
It
I
was
got
fine.
started.
But yeah, I hated, of course, when he said like, "Hey, Rain doesn't even want you coming to Yavaga with us. There's only 5 safety pods or whatever the cryopods.
Yeah, and they need him to like steer him safely onward.
Exactly. But when you get there, the Yavaga doesn't request or doesn't allow for synthetics, basically. And like Rain didn't tell you this, and I'm like, oh shit, Rain, that's messed up. And then Isabella Massad character Kay talks to Rain and is like, you didn't tell him, and she's like, I didn't have the heart to tell him. Like obviously she's heartbroken by it.
Yeah.
And obviously I like that later on. She's just like, fuck it, doesn't matter. But yeah, seeing that change, like first of all, he's like, oh, whatever is in the interest or the best interests of Rain, like I'll do whatever. I was like, oh man,
Oh,
like again, these are the emotional heartstrings that are just propelling me for this movie.
I think he has the saddest eyes I've ever seen.
Oh, it's so good. And to go from like, oh, I'll just I'll just support Rain's life. That's my prime directive. I was like, oh, that's heartbreaking. Like after the betrayal, he still was like full on, I'll support Rain, whatever keeps Rain happy. I'm like, oh gosh, cutting to Run. I'm like, his performance is so good.
I remember that from the trailer too. So when I was like starting the movie, I was like, what upgrade is he gonna go through that's gonna like lock him in?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, throughout this, I'm like, okay, is this just a deeper part of his personality, or is just like, oh, he clicks into something else? But it was a whole different directive. And I like the discussions that he was having with Brooke in terms of like, hey, it was more so plot. It wasn't as like deep and complex as like the David dynamic and Covenant.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't like David's independent, whereas
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they're all under the program, the mother computer.
Yeah, both of them are both under a specific type of programming. He's under the prime directive of Wayland Yutani, Rook, but then Andy's under the prime directive of Rain, and seeing them talk to each other, sometimes off screen, was really fascinating. But yeah, again, I just liked their sibling dynamic and how he came in clutch so many times at the beginning of the movie to really help them out, used as a tool. Basically, again, as the humans, which, again, the corporations using the humans as a tool. The humans are using Andy as a tool until Andy revolts against them through the prime directive of the company, which is fucked up. But then even the humans are, I guess, obviously trying to revolt against Wayland through their escape, through any means possible. So I liked that. I also liked and appreciated, like Nathan mentioned early on, the Alien Isolation comparisons as well. So this movie felt very video game heavy in terms of like going to the map, looking at the map, like, okay, we found our cryopods, but man, they're only at 20% power. Now we need to go deeper into the levels to get the batteries for the power. Then we can get back up here. I'm like, this is so cool.
It's super cool, especially when like they walk into the room and then the door shuts and it's like, oh, open it. Oh, we don't have the clearance.
We don't have the clearance. Oh, like, this is so Alien Isolation, where so many times in the level you're like, oh, we don't have the clearance. We have to go 5,000 yards and around the corner the other way. And it's just like,
and like the huggers are fun. And you know what's like really fun about that scene is like even when they were like, oh, I think if we give Andy this, he can have an upgrade and he'll be able to open the door. It's like, okay, cool. And then they put it in. It's like, oh fuck, he's rebooting. We have to wait.
Yeah,
and there's like, huggers are swimming around.
Oh, that was so good.
In the fucking water.
Wow. And yeah. Also, they would catch like the tram. I was like, oh wow, this is again Alien Isolation, where so many times you're running from the alien, you get in the tram, and just like, I was like, this is so. Thank you, Fede.
I think like I think the first thing they enter is like the fucking like the circle vent opening.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, fuck, I wish you used it. That was cool.
Yeah, the sound design. By the way, I give props to the technicalities, the technical side of this entire production. The sound design, incredible. when they have to be silent throughout the whole face hugger temperature sequence was awesome.
That was a new interesting thing. Like that's never been done.
Never. It felt very much World War Z-esque, where it's like, oh, if you just walk and whatever, if you have the disease, they'll just walk by you.
I was thinking of what is it in the Walking Dead when like they cover themselves in like decomposition and like
exactly disgusting. Yeah, the walkers. So yeah, I like the whole vibe of just like camouflage through the dead or through like these aliens. It was really cool.
There was an there's a couple of interesting things. First off, the chest burster scene is very really well done. I mean, the whole idea with like having that X-ray wand was genius.
I wish I didn't see it in the trailers, but I'm kind of did because it was a very big hook for me. But it was also a very cool sequence in general to see it. Just seeing her, seeing Navarro, like the whole ordeal. It came on top of her. They couldn't really do anything about it. But then once they realized like it's like impending doom, all the characters are acting crazy. And this isn't a case of like, oh, these characters are so dumb. I fully understood A, they're teenagers, and B, or young adults, and B, it's like this guy's girlfriend is just like dying. He's gonna do everything in his power to try and save her.
They also like, even if it is like explained to them as coldly as Rook does, they've never encountered this. They have not watched the franchise like us. They don't know the rules. Exactly. It was cool though, like the way they were able to get the face hugger off, like by freezing the tail.
Yeah, I like that.
Even though it was fucking gross how deep the fucking tube was.
That was bad. That was very, very bad.
Cool shit though is like, what are our chances? 60-40 against your friend if the creature's done its job. Oh, so cold, so good. But yeah, the chest burster scene was really good because I love Isabel Merced screaming. It's very well done.
And she's just knocked out. Like pregnancy overload, just like oh man, that was so brutal. She's just like knocked out while Navarro just trying to get to the ship, and the cruel irony of the ship just making a huge U-turn. That was hilarious.
Disturbing detail was I remember in the original Alien when the chest burster comes out for the first time, you can hear like the little like roar sound it makes. In this movie, it makes the same noise, but like while it's like pulsating under the skin right there, and I'm like, oh, it's so fucking close.
What noise?
Just like the sound that it makes at that size.
Yeah. Like you can hear like a faint like thump to it.
No, it's not. No, like the actual like sound you hear like speaking like through the skin, like it's pulsating on her chest right here.
Oh god,
you hear it, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's gnarly. Mm-hmm. Even when it like burst out, it wasn't fucking clean. It was like at an angle from like a fucking rib cage.
Yeah, it looked different too. I was like, oh, this is crazy. Yeah, because like it came straight from the rib cage. Again, seeing like the X-ray of it all, like seeing the build up to that whole sequence was really, really cool.
Which that whole thing was very well captivating plot wise, because once it happened, shit got knocked off course with the controls and caused the thrusters to run into the ship.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It went like shit off filter, and then it's like, oh fuck, we have like an hour before it's all gone. Not a day.
Which is awesome. You know me. I love a good ticking clock in a movie. It's Light of the Jedi in Star Wars, like 38 minutes to impact, and this one's the same thing where it's just like we have 48 minutes to impact. And I like Rain being like, "What the fuck happened to 48 hours?" It's like, nope, we're done. We're
in 30 minutes.
Nah, yeah.
But to like expand some lore a bit, we've never seen the process of the xenomorph growing. Like we know it sheds its skin, and we just assume like it's bigger now. We've never seen like this cocoon process of it mounted on the wall here, where like the cousin like he goes to like zap it in the interior, obviously doesn't work, fucking stabs him,
and then emerges.
Oh yeah, Ita disintegrated his hand. Is
this like, creature is like invincible. It's going through a metamorphosis, and yet it's still in like killer mode. It's
I think
still
at most
defensive mode.
I think at most that xenomorph did actually end up with like an existing scar on the temple from all that. But yeah, that whole bit was wild, and like the fucking immersion of it all coming through, all very grossly and pseudo-sexually designed, because that's H.R. Geiger's shit.
Big time. I love a lot of pseudo-sexual play in this movie.
Which makes it just the most unsettling, intrusive thing you'll ever see, right?
Oh yeah.
In the
Again,
horror
this
genre.
is for sure, and this is the second time, like that we've had like the pregnancy aspect of it all as well. I mean, that's always been the case, hence chestbursters. But like in Prometheus, where she like cuts it out of her stomach, like get this thing out of me.
That rewatching that the whole context was wild because it was like David's like, oh yeah, you're 3 months pregnant, and things just happened last night. So I was like, what the fuck, get it out of me. We don't have the procedure to do it, but if we put you in cryo, fuck away from me.
And in this sequence, like instead of getting like for lack of a better term, the C-section that she got in Prometheus, she gives birth. Like
this now there is a sick thing we have seen it was in the second Alien vs. Predator that was just like needlessly fucking disgusting for the sake of it.
Oh no.
Which was just awful.
What happened again? The alien like went to the nursery.
The alien predator walks in and like face with its own face gestates into the lady, and then like you just have a fucking open stomach that's like eating the fetus and shit of the creature inside. It's fucking gross for the sake of it.
It was gross. That movie is hands down the worst film in the franchise.
It's not absolutely. It's not canon anyway. None of them are.
Which is crazy because we had Alien Resurrection, which was bad.
I should revisit that. I'm trying to remember.
We watched it 2 years ago, didn't we?
Yeah, and that was my first and only time.
Yeah, me too. My first and only time as well. Should we ever do revisiting commentaries? Should we ever do that on this channel? Probably not. Maybe in time. Maybe in time. But anyways, but yeah.
Like here was so yeah. I guess we'll talk about that ending, but it's a lot more intriguing because it's not just it's not a matter of like you fucking like feasted on this like innocent soul type beat. This is just like the whole biology is converted before anything's even begun and has rapidly accelerated. And I was really captivated. I mean, I didn't know shit like this was going to go down. As a matter of fact, Evan, I thought the movie was over. I thought we're going into cryo. We're fine.
But then as soon as he put that thing on there, I was like, oh, damn it. We're fine.
I was just like, hey, a sequel. Let's go.
So hopefully we get a sequel. Yeah.
I think it's profiting pretty good right now.
I think so too.
I've been burned before. Please keep going. But yeah, then she starts freaking out, and I'm like, oh shit, oh fuck. What are we gonna get? And of course, my brain's like on xenomorph mythology and shit. So I'm like, all right, yeah, what the fuck is this gonna be? And like this fucking egg thing pops out.
And this was weird. The egg pops out, and we see a humanoid baby with a big black scar down his face.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, they're not pulling an engineer thing here.
Yeah, and I thought they would just like kill the baby, right? Or it sounds fucked, but like kill the small organism that popped out of there, but it grows, and yeah.
Well, it's all fucked, Evan, because she's like freaking out, like get it away from me, and then she has to fucking cut the this thick ass umbilical cord.
Yeah, Rain like pulls off the entire. Rain is there during that scene, right?
Yeah, she's the one who's running it away.
Yeah.
And she has to like fucking like break this thick ass thing apart. Painful for everybody. And then she's running with it, not realizing it's sitting in a pool of acid within the egg, and it's starting to like splash around. So she drops it, and it falls to the floor. And of course, the immediate thought is like, it's gonna eat through the hull, and we're all fucked. So I got to go get that. Goes down there. Not only is it empty, and there's just a pool of fucking acid in there, but like there's giant footprints that have already grown large,
which is crazy. This is exponential growth. Yeah,
it is, which has always been the case with these creatures, but it's like fucking A, this is wild. And we're like walking around, and it's like in shadow and shit, like on the ceiling and such, and it's like, what the fuck is it? Where to go? This isn't just a normal fucking space jockey, like this is a fucking creature. What the fuck is it? And then we go back into the room.
Case perspective.
Yeah, with Kate, and nobody has brought up this bit, but this is a really like disgusting biology thing that was also here. Is like she feels her chest, and like she
Oh
puts some
yeah,
fluid.
that's not breast milk. No,
No,
that
but
was
presumably the same
exactly
function.
same function. Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're just like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Oh
And
no.
who's in the fucking doorway but this fucking spidery motherfucker?
One of the best jump scares you will ever see. The entire audience is just like the collective gasp. Did you get that twice in a row for you?
Not too much gasp. But you know, I'm sitting here and I'm like actively just like, oh,
Yeah,
just,
yeah. The whole theater was like, it's like it just sits there. It's just like the way it's situated, pure cinema, pure cinema.
making its way across. Obviously, knocks out Andy, and it's very disturbing thought process. What's about to go down? You presume, but just it needs to feed. This
Yeah,
woman's too small.
but also like it was weird. It walks up to her,
It
and
like
then it's
nuzzles.
like, what?
It tries to like nuzzle because you know it's like
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't attack her immediately. I think because it has like some kind of like paternal like
yeah,
crave there, something like that.
yeah.
But it's not until she like fights back against it, and then it just like kind of knocks her out and starts like eat.
I,
What was it doing to her?
from my understanding, it just went to feed, but she's too small of a support system, so he literally like sucked her dry. She was like
Yeah.
fucking like
She died in the movie, right? This killed her, right? Am I wrong?
yeah, that killed her, yeah,
I killed
and
her.
like
Okay.
her corpse fell to the ground.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, when
I
when
was like, for part of me, I was like, did she survive this movie? No, she died. She did.
and this got interesting. There's the interesting like continuous use, like whereas most movies are like the flamethrower, this has like a cryo spray.
Yeah, I
Uh,
liked that.
as main, which is really
We
cool, and like
DLC weapon in Alien Isolation.
what's that? Yeah, we
We
did.
need that as a DLC or something like that. Yeah.
That would be cool. But yeah, Rain goes to use it against the creature, but it's not fucking working. And there's no like real time to get it functioning. So it's like she gets hit and drops it. It starts spraying out. It's filling up the room. And as she's like running away, she's like, "Oh fuck!" Like she feels like her spine tightening from the frost. And
Yeah. It's
oh
so
shit.
cool. Yeah.
Like I love like the little subtle choice of like she keeps like instinctively like reaching back at there, but like she doesn't want to fuck up her hands. She keeps pulling it back, but
Yeah, like
thing,
the cryo is slowly like
yeah.
getting to her. Yeah.
Yeah, and but then she ends up where'd she go? I think she ends up back down at the bottom with the creature. She ends up getting a spacesuit, right? Because the frost
Okay.
is so
Yeah,
bad.
the frost is getting to her. She gets in the base shoot. Yeah.
Yeah. Then she ends up on the ground with it. The creature's about to get her, but then she kicks the pool of acid from the egg that
And that
opens up a suction in the ground that sucks everything out. Great visual, by the way, of the sand getting sucked out into space.
that was incredible. It reminded me of the Dune sandworm sequence where he first tries to get in the sandworm. It's hard to tell what Paul is doing in that scene. The sand is like covering the whole screen. It's the same
Yeah.
thing here, where like the sand is like in some kind of like whirlpool as it's getting sucked into the vacuum of space. But then the
Yeah.
whole time she's just like hanging on. It was incredible. But also the creature's hanging on too.
It is. It's intense. I love the soundtrack here. There's like an intense, like sharp, like metal guitar riff happening with like the
Oh,
impact of it.
pause. Benjamin Wallfish's score here, same guy who did the Blade Runner 2049 score, which I just love.
Mm.
It's like same great synth and intense, like where the running is like I was like, oh, it is peak. Like I can't wait to listen to this soundtrack. It gets you so amped but like terrified at the same time. It was a
Yeah.
great combination. I adored this score. But yeah, the score here as well was just so haunting. It's just like, wow, this thing is like, it's like, oh, nice try. Like, I'm not gonna fall for the same thing Ripley did. Like, I'm not going to the vacuum of space that easily. Which was crazy. It hooked itself to the edge of the ship, and she's just hanging there with the creature right in his face, her face.
Before like the thing gets knocked back and like grinds into the high speed movement against the rings. As the space station in the background is doing the same. Slowly descending.
Also, which was a really cool shot. Like it's breaking down. You can also see in the background the space station, which is like a mile away, also breaking down.
Yeah.
So how does it all end here at the end?
She ends up climbing her way back up. The airlocks come back through, and then just before like impact, like the ship does manage to wade off and go off onto their hopeful happy ending as they enter cryosleep. She puts Andy into
And then
the
the monster just got sucked out. How did she push it out again?
yeah. It just I think it ended up just getting like knocked out
Okay, yeah, hit with the
into
rings.
yeah, and it did end up like obliterating into the rings. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But yeah, it was so fascinating because yeah, this was a huge jump scare, a huge surprise. This whole humanoid creature.
Yeah.
But I just love the symbolism behind it. How like this humanoid creature, Weyland Yutani is breaking down humanity in all of its colonies. But then to subvert that, to try and save that, they're like, okay, we just got to create the better human being. We just got to create a stronger being instead of being better company. Like we got to create a better human being, and they create this monstrous being, or try to apply this monstrous goo to humanity, try and strengthen its survival, and it creates like this huge, disgusting hybrid.
Yeah, all in the vein of like the idea of like the perfect organism. That's what humans should be.
Exactly, which was a great topic of discussion for Romulus in general, like creating the perfect organism and all about Alien Romulus, the story of Romulus and Remus, one of the first two quote unquote humans raised by wolves. And then raised by wolves, the whole survival aspect, and of course humans striving to survive. It's a very interesting circle that Fede Alvarez is constructing here narratively. Just like all the other movies, like Prometheus, the giving the gods fire, or giving humanity fire, and then in Covenant, like the journey of it all. It's so cool. I love the way Alien Romulus like plays and connects with all that kind of stuff, not in a nostalgia way, but just in a thematic way as well.
Yeah, I think it's a very well done like expansion of not just the lore itself, but of having like original characters in the survival horror element.
Agreed, and let it not go undeterred. Like the heart of this movie is Kaylee's performance. I adored her in this movie. I loved her a lot in Priscilla. Of course, she's great in Bad Times at the El Royale, underrated movie. And then, of course, she was great in Civil War this year. And in this one, she brings a lot of vulnerability, bravery, heart with her and Andy. It's just a complex and easily rootable character, which again is not easy to find, for me at least, in this franchise. Again, I love David, but he's a synthetic. Like Naomi Rapace is cool, and I gravitated towards her by the end of the movie. But throughout the narrative of Prometheus, I didn't really connect with her or even Catherine Watterson's character in Covenant. But for some reason, like and those are not bad characters. They're solid. They're very solid. But for me, and not because I just like Kaylee Spaney. That's part of it. But it's just like her character in general and the connection that she has with Andy, the connection that she has even with Tyler, her like quote unquote ex or whatever. It's very like rootable, very understanding. It's very like it's easy to gravitate towards her character and everything she's going through in this movie. It's as easy as it was with Ripley in the first movie.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about it much, but like I think one of the best acts of desperation in the entire film was the scene where Katie is at the door and Andy won't open it because he's like the creature. That's what the creature's waiting for, and it literally is.
And the creature's just sitting there. Yes, dude. And I can't agree more. Like this scene needs to be talked about because the acting in the aftermath of that scene, you feel it. You fucking feel it.
The desperation from Rain saying like, please, you have to help her. She's pregnant, which Tyler didn't know. And now he's going through a mess of thought.
Andy, what are you doing?
He's actually like pretty like trying to stay calm. Like, please, you got it. Please.
He's not like punching Andy. He's not like kicking Andy. He's just like, oh, come on, please. Like once he hears that, he's like, oh, it's complete desperation.
Even Rain realizes like what's going to happen here. She's just trying to tell her like, you have to run. You have to just try.
You have to just run. Out. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But then even when the alien takes her by the tail, Tyler's still just like, Andy, can you please open the door? I need to go get her, please.
Yeah,
Like,
the way Tyler just breaks down and just crumbles to his knees, and then Rain is, and he's still like screaming and upset, and then Rain is just like so distraught because for her
she's
she's
in
just like
shock,
she's
and
in
then
shock. Yeah,
and then that's when she asks, "What is your prime directive?"
So good again. Yeah. And that wouldn't work if it was just some normal synthetic. But this is a character that we, as an audience, had gravitated to because we've seen him getting bullied, we see him get put down, we see him get betrayed by Rain. But then to see him do this,
there's such a deep sympathy to Andy just from the jump, because he's a damaged synthetic. So even just like in his normal like trying to function, you can see he's not all capable of like full functionality, which is something we see in humans ourselves. People that we are, we're sad that they are stuck this way, that they can't operate how they want to.
Exactly. So yeah, I just adored this cast. It's a young cast. And I keep comparing this to Prometheus and Covenant, but they just came out, so sorry.
There's Goo.
Yeah, they're the most recent ones, and I like, especially I say this whenever going over like commentaries and going over franchises. It's always interesting seeing what sets this film apart and how it connects with the other movies. And in the other movies, like this is a cast, especially in Aliens, and this is a cast of mostly adult characters, military trained, or either they're scientists. And even though they come on this planet, and of course they're very unaware or uninformed about what the horrors of they'll get into, there's something special about this movie. It's a completely young cast, and they're even more unaware about the horrors because they just want a new place to live. In Prometheus and Covenant, there's a desire for knowledge. There's desire, at least for some of them cast, there's desire for knowledge and to learn. And in Covenant, it's the same thing. It's like desire to figure out and look for what's beyond, or basically. And in this one,
in Covenant.
Exactly. In this one, they're just looking for a better way of life. Their parents, for the most part, are all dead, and they just want to dream of a natural sunlight, a better place to live. And this creature, this corporation, both are stopping them in their tracks. And that escapism is very gravitating to me as like an audience member watching this movie. And I like the slow dread that is built up from the beginning of this movie to the very last minute. I love this first act, getting us introduced to this cast, this world, this desolate, desperate, horrible world, and then going to the Romulus, which is like a smaller cage. There's a scene where Rain is looking at the bird in the cage, which is very on the nose, obviously. But it's like, that's what they are. They're birds in a cage. They're locked up and they're trying to escape. And then, they go into Romulus, which is the definition of a bird cage, because they're locked and it turns into a complete hellscape. And in general, just in terms of a horror movie, there's so many great sequences, from the elevator to the acid to the walking amongst the facehuggers, and then the whole water sequence is very, very fun and intense. They were going off, though. They were doing pretty well for themselves. I'm like, damn, they almost survived it. They kind of did. Just one facehugger got onto Navarro. It was crazy.
That was wild. Even Navarro was, when they were like, she was like cracking the doors, like, no, don't open it, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
And just the fact that like that got them later, like there's some like stuck on the in between, like trying to get through, and then they break through the glass and just the swarm coming through.
It's insane. It's a great set piece. And it's the visuals, the cinematography of this movie is impeccable as well.
I think this is probably the best the Xenomorph has ever looked.
Oh,
for sure. Like just comparatively looking, even though I'm looking at like I was like looking at Aliens too, and it's like, it's a decent. I'm not too big on the Aliens Xenomorph design, just because it's a bit different. Like they're a lot more like aggressively jittery, and I get we're in like a big like action packed setting more so, but it doesn't hit the same as like the slow pace, like taking in the grandiose horror that you're seeing in front of you as the other ones. But this one here is it's so gorgeously designed. Just like looking at like the silver teeth in the mouth, it's just so well sculpted. And like there's a one specific shot where Andy's like glitched on the ground in like the tunnel, and the xenomorph is standing over, like slowly rising up while a horde of facehuggers runs around it.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's gorgeous. Fetty is amazing with this.
Yeah, he understands the material, and again, although this has like, oh, it's very similar, going to spaceship. Like, I adored how much heart this movie has and how much horror Fede injects into it. It's not as like gory as even like Covenant, but I like the thrills of it all, the dangerous like sequences.
Yeah.
There's
neat. There's the shot where Tyler's captured right by the xenomorph. It's about to kill him, and then like he looks over and there's like 3 running at him.
How does Tyler die in this movie? Does he get like it was after the elevator sequence, right? Oh no, he protects Rain, right? He protects Rain from getting.
Yeah, he jumps in the way. I think saving both Rain and Katie. Gets taken away, and then also he gets a mouth shot to the head.
Mouth? Oh, mouth shot. Yes. Yeah.
Second mouth.
Yeah. Second mouth. I was like mouth shot.
Tongue mouth. I don't know what it's called. I still don't know.
Yeah, but whatever. You're right. Yeah, it just gets taken out there. But great character, consistently great character. It reminded me of the guy from Aliens. That was like Ripley's friend. I forget his name. Hicks. Yeah. Really cool.
Michael Biehn.
Thank you, Michael Biehn. Good old Michael Biehn. James Cameron should work with him again.
James done great. I think he's in something else with James Cameron. Well,
he just appeared in something recently. I remember us talking about Michael Biehn recently.
The Mandalorian season 2.
That's unfortunately probably it. I was like, wow. I thought it was something more interesting.
But he isn't. He is like the main adversary to Doc Holliday in Tombstone.
Yeah. Which, by the way, watch our commentary of Tombstone, a great Western movie. So yeah, lastly, I heard this film was called like The Force Awakens of the Alien movies on Twitter the other day, and I'm like, that's supposed to be a bad thing?
Yeah. Even then, I'm like, are we just saying stuff?
We're just saying shit. It's like, because it's not really true. Because again, Nathan and I just talked about how all the like corporation and alien and humanity stuff is very unique to this movie, while also paying homage, I think cleverly so, thematically so, to past movies. I think it all works.
If this was like pseudo Alien 5 with Sigourney, then like I could maybe see that comparison.
Yeah,
it's not.
But they're not bringing back any original character besides Rook via like Bishop and whatever it was called.
There was a quick shot of on a monitor John Hurt when they're explaining the first incidents of the Nostromo from the first Alien.
Is that again?
There's a shot in this movie that when Rook is talking about the events of the Nostromo and the Xenomorph, there's a monitor that has a John Hurt's character on him. He was the first one to get infected on screen by an alien, the one who gets the facehugger latched on and chest burst.
Cool.
Quick little thing.
Really cool. I just thought this movie had a lot of heart to it. The new characters, Rain and Andy, are so captivating to watch. I love their relationship. I cannot wait to see more. Please, I would love it. Dan Trachtenberg is doing more for the Prey franchise. I think 2 sequels are in development now of some kind. And I would just love for the Alien franchise to continue. Just as a closure to this all, like years ago, I said, following Alien Covenant, which I didn't like at the time, Terminator Dark Fate, which I did like, but, kind of ended the franchise. And then after the last 2018 Predator, which was god awful. Did we watch that one? I think we did.
We did, and I was like, I think it's okay. And then I watched it. I was like, never mind.
It's bad. It's bad. The guy chewing gum all the time. Really bad.
Edgy humor just to do it.
Oh god. So I thought Predator franchise was dead, but then we got Prey. It took it back to its roots. Very simple movie, except this time with a Native American lead, a Native American tribalism aspect to it, and it was perfect. I love that movie. Now we get back to Alien after Alien Covenant, which I thought was not great, but good. I think you need to take it back to like its horror roots. And I think it really did a good job here of bringing something fresh, new, nostalgic at times. Sometimes too nostalgic, but it didn't bother me at all. And with the new cast that is instantly likable and rootable, and you want to see more of. So I think the Alien franchise is back in play. And recently, James Cameron said he wants to do more Terminator. There's a secret Terminator project or something of some kind.
Not the anime.
And I'm about to say, and with the anime coming out, it's like I really want Terminator to have the same effect that Alien and Predator are going through right now, where they're just like keeping the true heart of that franchise alive through these new movies. I think they can really get back to like a horror Terminator again. After, and granted, I think T2 is a top 5 action film of all time for me, at least. I love T2. It's like a perfect movie. But that kind of brought the film franchise, the Terminator franchise, into a different arena. It made every other sequel want to be T2 and not T1.
They're all action. Everything that's not the first one is action.
They wanted
the first
it to
one
be
is a slasher film.
Exactly. And I think James Cameron, even though again it's not his fault, but like the studio was like, we need everything to be T2. We need everything to be Arnold, action, destroying these Terminators. And it kind of diminishes the franchise. Granted, I like Dark Fate.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, right. And like I like Dark Fate. It's flawed, but I have a lot of fun with it.
I do too.
But at the same time, I will agree, we might need to go back to the horror route for Terminator. We don't need Arnold for this movie, just like we don't need Ripley, Sigourney Weaver for the Alien movie. We don't need her back. We don't need to clone her, Alien 4.
That's wild.
That was wild.
Isn't that wild? They killed her in 3, and then they're like, "Oh fuck, we can't make one without her. Let's make her one with Xeno DNA."
Oh god. So then just make us a horror Terminator film again. I don't know if James Cameron has that in him. He's a very much like an action blockbuster filmmaker now, but he's one of the best of all time. So I do trust him if he's doing one. And seeing the latest Terminator anime, it seems like we are getting the horror roots, even though it is an anime, so it's going to be very action heavy, obviously for an anime. I just really want like a horror vibe again on the big screen for Terminator. I think it could really work. And for this Alien franchise, I think it revitalized it in a very fun way. For me, I think it's one of my favorite movies I've seen all year. It's just thrilling, horrifying, really just simply above it all. It's just cool. It's a very, very cool movie. And I love it. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. I'm trying to think if there's another like franchise that's of a similar vein. Like you say, Terminator.
That's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are the big 3: Terminator, Terminator, Predator, and Alien. Like those big 80s stuff that just got.
I think so. Yeah.
Ridiculously overexposed in the 90s and 2000s and 2010s, and just this is the best way to bring it back for these franchises.
New RoboCop never really took off, so.
I never watched the first one.
Well,
Checklist out there. Yeah, I never really watched the first RoboCop. Going crazy, but I put Resurrection over Alien 3. No, you're just wrong, Javen. You're just wrong.
There's questionable decisions in 3, but it's still was it Fincher or Lynch?
It's Fincher, but But Draven, Alien 3 has fucking guy from Game of Thrones, the one of the best supporting characters in the Alien franchise.
Oh yeah,
the head Lannister guy. What's his name?
The dude who was in the Monsterverse for a second.
Yeah, exactly. He was in Godzilla 2. Charles Dance. Dance. Right. He is so freaking good in Alien 3. He is a great supporting character.
I think most people get hung up on, and I understand why. I do too. With Alien 3, like it opens with hey, Ripley's 2 friends she made that you all love, they died on cryosleep. And it's just her, and now she's stuck in a prison planet with prisoners.
But it looks cool. But
it looks cool, but it's sad as fuck. And why are we here?
It's a really it's a shitty way to start the movie. But I like Charles Dance. I like the setting. It's cool. Even the alien design was kind of unique and interesting.
I like the idea of Lance Hedrick playing Wayland, one of the Wayland descendants, who I guess
Yeah.
Bishop was modeled after his face, so it was the same actor. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, Alien 3 has some good parts. We should watch our commentary of it. I think we were
Yeah.
surprised by the beginning, but then looking at my letterbox here, I think we have it like
As sad as it is, where Ripley dies in the movie. Spoiler, but it is thematically cool. The idea of like that she was carrying a queen alien. That as it bursts, she's like falling back into the magma to
exactly.
kill it off forever, so they can never get their hands on it, even though they clone her later.
Removing the Predator movies from my Alien and Predator franchise ranking and letterbox. To close this out, I have Alien, then Aliens, then I had Covenant, then Prometheus, and then AVP, and then Alien 3, and then Alien Resurrection, and then AVP. Not including the Predator movies again. I don't know if I have Covenant over Prometheus now. I always go back and forth. Covenant just looks better than Prometheus. And the David stuff is probably better in Covenant than Prometheus. So maybe that's why.
I'll get my ranking too. Yeah, I can see that.
Fair. It is a depressing movie.
But yeah, for me, I'll go from bottom to top, and I'll just list the Alien ones. Are we excluding AVPs?
I put it in there. Yeah.
Okay, so at the bottom, AVP R. Then I had Alien Resurrection. Then the first Alien vs Predator. Then I had Alien 3, Prometheus, Alien Romulus, Alien Covenant, Alien. I really like
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even include Romulus. I'll probably go from top to bottom. Aliens, Romulus, Covenant, Prometheus. Yeah.
The rest.
Romulus, Covenant, Prometheus, and then the rest. I'll put Alien
3, 4.
3, 4. Yeah, 3, 4 at the bottom. AVP somewhere in the middle. I grew up watching AVP. AVP was the first introduction.
First AVP's fun.
Yeah. It got me into the franchise. Tarzan's good to get kids off early, so on, and then we are left with into a ball of dudes and we're open. Yeah, it's not great. Yeah, that last part, not great. So yeah, catch us next time. Follow me on Twitter, Harris EV9. As we watch more movies in the month of August and September here. We'll find something else to talk about later on. See if anything new, some interesting topics to discuss. It's been a slow news week ever since D23. But, Alien Romulus kicked off the end of the summer in high style. So, yeah, find me on Twitter, Harris EV9, where I continue to be depressed. Just depressed. Nathan, where can they find you?
I mean, being equally sad for you. God damn it, man. My friend's hurting. This sucks.
I stayed in my bed for like an hour. I took a nap. I had a long day at work. I had a big meeting after school. I took a nap from like 5 to 7:30. And I wake up and I'm just like, because no lie, Nathan, like no bullshit. I had a dream over the weekend that I got canceled. And I told Jalen about this. I was like, that was a weird ass dream. It was crazy, but it was a dream. Like no bullshit whatsoever. I know it sounds weird in hindsight, but like,
can you dream the lottery numbers real quick?
Right? that would up my that would take away my depression easily. So yeah, I was like, oh, that was crazy.
I'll make that one.
Yeah, honestly, give me $1 million. I sure I can do something.
You just get the same cast, and it's like we'll slightly move the names. It'll be fine.
Yeah, even though like I'll have $1 million from the lottery, but then the show costs like $200 million.
Is that the stranger? No, that's the mystery man.
Right? Yeah. I'll just give money to just create 2 books, just 2 more books. Finish the story, please. I'll do that in a second. Like, how much do books cost these days to make? Anyways,
give it.
Yeah. But then it happened today. I was like, I had to literally like wake myself. I was like, am I awake right now? Like,
you read it like 5 times, I imagine.
Yeah, I was like, because it came from a disgusting film. I thought it was like a fake disgusting film account.
I got the deadline link. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was at the chat, then I saw the deadline link. I'm like, oh no. Yeah. Anyways,
I immediately checked too. I was like, what did Evan think? And I went to your tweets and I like chat pointed out, like you retweeted, like "Happy birthday, man! You can't wait for season 2."
I tweeted that out, went straight to take a nap. I retweeted that, took a nap, and then I wake up to this. It's fucked. It's fucked.
is
I didn't know it was Manny's birthday. I was like, oh, Manny's birthday. That's sweet. Good night. Let me see you take a nap. I have a podcast today. I'm so happy. It's gonna be fun. Alien Romulus this weekend. Let's go.
Like, it's so weird because like even if you weren't trusting like people to continue with it, like these new characters, like you plugged both Yoda and Plagueis. Like that would hook anyone.
That was a thing for me. Like no bullshit. Like I'm like, even if it had bad viewership numbers, I'm like, okay, it's the lowest one yet. Is that going to be the case for season 2 with Plagueis and Yoda? Maybe we'll get an uptick. Sure, why not? Ahsoka ended on a cliffhanger, and it got a season 2. Like, come on. I'm like, okay, we'll just have to wait. We'll see what happens. I thought it was a guarantee. I figured again, Star Wars was like not acceptable to like viewership stuff. Like obviously that hampers stuff, but I thought the franchise umbrella would protect it.
At the very least, being like, all right, maybe just one more.
More season to close us out or something. Like
okay,
people wanted like this Book of Boba Fett sequel. Book of Boba Fett ended. It ended. Kenobi ended. Like those were mini series. This was obviously a multi-season threshold here.
You could even argue Mando ended somehow.
Yeah, it 1000%. If somebody's told me season 3 was the end of Mando, oh, tragic. Okay, cool, we're done.
But like, I get like when I say somehow, I mean like I don't know how we already got here, but like just from the final scene, you're like, yeah, that's the end.
That's what John's telling us. Yeah. So yeah, I gotta go. Let's end this.
Yeah. Okay. Follow me at _TimeBlazer to make a show called Time Blazer where I won't stop until it's over. Anyway. That being said, if you enjoyed this, make sure you like button, subscribe, and already ring the bell so you miss talking all things film, TV, and horror as well. If we ever launch that pod, maybe. That being said, I hope you have a great day. We'll catch you guys next time.